All right. Hi, guys. Hi. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what geography you are in. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to be your host, and Jayant and Marcelo are going to be talking mostly about the self-serve analytics. Let me take the pleasure of introducing the team. So Jayant is the co-founder and CEO of SparkFlows, and he's focused on enabling self-serve advanced analytics at organizations. Jayant has worked at organizations like Cloudera, Yahoo, and eBay, building advanced analytics products and working side by side with some of the largest enterprises. So a pleasure to introduce Jayant. I move on to Marcelo, another stalwart, been in the industry for many, many years. Marcelo is a highly experienced big data business development executive at AWS, focused on empowering data science and product teams to leverage the power of AWS analytics services. He has worked at Cisco, Cape Networks, and Aruba, building hardware and software products that derive customer experience insights. So welcome, Jayant and Marcelo. And finally, it's me, Sushruth. I am a part of ISG. I lead the AI/ML practice. So Jayant, if we can start the presentation, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Sush, and thank you for introducing all of us.
All right, so I'm going to just take you guys through the first 5 minutes as to what is advanced analytics, or what do we mean by self-serve advanced analytics and AI, and then pass it over to Jayant and Marcelo, who are going to talk about SparkFlows and AWS and how does the integration work. So if we can move to the next one, please. So that's us. And trust me, these are not our younger days pictures. This is how we look even today. Marcelo looks the youngest, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
Very important for those of you who are attending this seminar. Please note you have a 90-day free trial coming up, and some use case implementations. So hang around. There's that reward, because this is a new application. Self-serve analytics, as we all know, is up and coming in the future technology. So having a free trial is definitely going to help you. So hang around. Jayant will talk more about it at the end of this webinar. So what are we going to talk about today? First, global trends. Where is self-serve analytics? Then modern data strategy. This is where Marcelo picks up. SparkFlows vision and AWS integration focus. The SparkFlows vision is primarily Jayant, and AWS integration is where Marcelo will again join Jayant. Demo of how SparkFlows works. I take it over again at future state of self-serve platforms. And then the most awaited part is the free trial, which is the freebie, is what Jayant is going to talk about. So what are the trends? Self-serve analytics has started coming in. I mean, I personally have started observing it in the last 2 to 3 years. And as a matter of fact, it started with self-serve BI. So the Tableaus and the Power BIs of the world were the first one to get onto this train. Now, what SparkFlows is going to talk about is it's not just about the BI part, but it's the entire range of analytics, which starts from data engineering, integration, all the way up to insights. And why is self-serve analytics picking up so much is primarily because people are wanting, or executives are wanting, to take faster, quicker decisions on their own, rather than wait for a technologist or an IT team to support in extracting the data. So as the word says, it's self-serve. This is the market, the way it is growing. It's a little shy of 3 billion right now in the self-serve analytics platform market size, and expected to grow 5 times in the next 2 years by 2024. So with that kind of growth, it's always good to know what are the trends, what are the disruptions, and definitely how can that help an organization. Some of the organizations which are using self-serve platforms are retailers because they want to get their consumer insights, hospitals for tracking patients' health stats, and CPG companies, they're using ML models for doing forecasting so that they know what the demand is for the future. If we can move to the next one. What do the business users have to say about it? And typically the business users, this is a survey of business leaders who are, when I say business leaders, they are the ones who, a director and above, and who have an influential vision in where the organization's analytics program is going to head. So they're liking the fact that the data gets democratized. So it's not just a select few who are pulling out the data or pulling out the dashboards and then sending it out to the mass audience. It's every individual at any level can pick and choose and see the trends and see the data. As I was saying, seamlessly pull and allocate data from hundreds of different internal and external sources, which is a common theme everywhere. People are pulling data from a variety of sources. It also lets you consolidate tools and designs. You can also code. I'm not going to steal the limelight from Jayant. He'll talk about it later. And it helps you solve complex data problems without programming. So a business leader who is by nature very savvy with technology, but not a programmer or a developer, can easily use these tools with drag and drop options and use it to identify trends, benchmarks, competitive landscape. So needless to mention, tremendous value added to self-serve analytics. Over to you, Marcelo. Thank you.
So as Sush gave you an idea of global trends, I'd like to give you a view of the AWS vision from what a modern data strategy is and the impact of a self-serve platform. So one of the things that I like to talk about is what we're hearing from our customers. As a customer-obsessed organization, AWS customers have talked to our teams in a variety of ways. And I think one of the most important things that we have learned in creating this modern data strategy is the business values that can be derived from such a strategy. And some of the outcomes that we have seen is that a research from Forbes has shown that by using 10% more data, we're making that data more accessible to organizations. Fortune 500 companies alike will be able to increase their net income by about $65 million. And at the same time, the 5-year ROI of such investment on unifying data stores, using AI ML to drive innovation will create an ROI of about 415% over 5 years, while reducing operational expenses by 48%. So these are not only trends that we see with from the industry, but of what customers are telling us that they are seeing in their environments, which drive the following business outcomes. Improved operational efficiency, as I mentioned, increased agility and scale as you are moving and making decisions that are data-driven, therefore improving business efficiencies, making better informed decisions where you are deriving insights from a cross-sectional set of data from lines of business, customer success, operations, engineering, and so on a unified data store or data lake. And accelerating innovations by then driving the impossible tasks of the past by automating processes via AI and ML. What does a data-driven organization means? And that's what we're hearing from customers. It's where data becomes an organizational asset, where the customers are seeing data as you probably have heard from other presentations as the new oil. Data is no longer kept in silos in different lines of business or different organizations, but they all merge together. So correlations and insights can be derived from a data-wide data lake. Therefore, data is accessible to everyone on a securely and compliant manner, which is extremely important due to the compliance artifacts that we all under today. And data is put to work to drive insights via automation, AI, and ML, to drive better decisions, efficiencies, and innovation across the organization. Excellent.
Sounds great.
But this is not an easy thing, and that's why we're talking about self-serve architectures and platforms, right? There are challenges on the way. The scale of data is extremely large at the moment. We are consuming more data than we consumed in a month than the previous 20 years put together. The data sources are extremely varied, all the way from structured data, from unstructured data. And usually they sit in silos in organizations today that need to be unified. Machine learning adoption is challenging, lack of skills, and sometimes organizational inertia and how machine learning is implemented in the organization. And that's where Spark Flows is going to come and help us make that data pipeline and drive ML innovation within that data pipeline to drive better insights and automation. And as I mentioned before, data security and compliance is a huge concern and challenge for organizations today, right? So one of the things that the pandemic has taught us, and we learned from customers throughout, is that to survive, you need to make faster and better decisions at scale. But to thrive, you need to innovate. Companies are going to reinvent themselves much, much faster than they used in the past because of the acceleration of digital adoption and innovation. Typical example, and a timely type of example, is the NFL Next Gen Stats that we're going to see this coming weekend. The challenge for the NFL was the data, the scale and the amount of data coming into their data ingestion pipeline, and the need for a solution for real-time statistics, not the batch time statistics that generated, stats post-game, but during the game, and prediction of stats during the game. So they worked with our machine learning solution labs to derive ML models that could do real-time predictions based on sensors that sit on the players and their shoes, as well as on the ball, that allow them to actually create the next-gen stats that you see on the games today. So this is a typical example of doing that migration from a on-prem data warehouse to a cloud solution on AWS. So now let's talk about how this self-serve architecture can help us as we innovate into this modern data strategy on AWS. So the way we see Spark Flow coming into the picture is in the innovation side and building these new experiences and reimagine the old processes with AI and ML and driving business innovation for organizations. So Cenk, tell us about how Spark Flows is going to help us.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Marcelo and Serge. And welcome everyone again. And look forward to going through it. So what are the Spark Flow's capabilities in our AWS integrations? And I want to start off with what is Spark Flow's vision. So our vision, the Spark Flows, is to make self-serve analytics seamless, rich, and powerful, and especially on the data lakes. We need it, we want it to be very native to the data lake. So that's why we are extremely partnered and integrated with AWS and the various AWS services. So I will love to talk about how Spark Flows integrates with the AWS services to make it seamless to drive innovation. So here is an architecture diagram that I have. Spark Flows is installed on an EC2 machine. and users log in via browser. And the jobs that they create and schedule and run, they go ahead and run onto the variety of the clusters that they have set up. For example, EMR clusters, Glue, EKS, and even on standalone EC2 machines. And all of these integrates very seamlessly, like Redshift, S3, RDS, Kinesis, MSK, SageMaker. So it gives you a view once you have things set up in place to not as Marcelo was saying, to start to drive business value. So this is so SparkFlows. We say it as it's a powerful analytics studio once you have it installed, and we make it end-to-end seamless. So you have an analytics studio. There's a couple of screens over here. So one is a workflow editor through which you could connect, you could transform, you could explore, you could build AI models. You can, and it's a multi-user collaborative platform, and it scales to petabytes of data. Scale is very important. So as Marcel was saying, like all of the systems, you may start off with small data, but very soon you will run up into data sets which are extremely huge than what you do. It's like, so you really want a system that will scale. So that's where, being on the cloud, being the ability with the S3 storage, the whole compute with EMR and Glue and all the clusters, it just makes it amazing. And that's where we come in to enable, once you have those, to make it seamless to do the rest of the things. So this shows a bit of the end-to-end features, like it has different connectors, different file formats it can take in, data preparation to data exploration to feature engineering to model building with, say, SparkML, SageMaker, H2O, Prophet, Arima, XGBoost, to be able to do NLP and even standalone ML models are becoming more and more popular these days because so much goes into building them out. But how can you seamlessly start using them in your pipelines easily? That brings out the power. Then there comes in AutoML, data profiling, and building out analytical apps. So going to the demo of this, I would not repeat it over here. So this is one of the screenshots from SparkFlows. We call a product as Fire Insights. So this is showing a workflow editor, which is reading data sets, transforming, doing ML. And you could do both batch and streaming. As Marcelo was saying, there's so much need for streaming and analytics and real-time analytics. You really want to do both batch and streaming. So you could connect to different sources, including RDS, Athena, S3, Redshift, Kinesis, MSK, and you could read different file formats. They could be on your S3 buckets and at different scales, petabyte scales or others, and you want to be able to straight away start processing your files. So there are a lot of ML algorithms that are available out of the box, Spark ML algorithms, which all run distributed. You could connect to SageMaker, bring out SageMaker machines where your ML is happening. You could use scikit-learn, again, running on your cluster. The algorithms don't run distributed, but SparkFlows does allow more users to run, and even AutoML to be run distributed onto your clusters. Then you have H2O, Prophet, Arima, Stats model. And the other thing is that not only this, you can add your own nodes. So you're not limited to what SparkFlows provides. And that is one of the very big things that we see into our customers and their needs, that they want to add their own nodes and their own capabilities. Could be ML, could be NLP, or could be others. Data preparation is always a big part of data analytics. Data exploration, being able to profile data at scale as you're doing your analytics, you really want to see how it is distributed, what are the outliers, you want to remove the outliers, how, so SparkFlows comes with powerful visualization nodes, which during the analytics phase, it will help you drastically to analyze and view your data, which could be at scale. The other thing which Marcel, you were saying, actually Sush was saying in the beginning, that not only you want things out of the box, you want to be able to add your own features, but you also want to be able to code within the workflows. One is notebooks. You have great notebooks, and then you also want to code within the workflows. So SparkFlows allows you to code in SQL, Scala, or Python, so that you're not limited to the nodes that are available. Then comes in AutoML. You could select your data sets, which could be, say, on Hive. It could be on your S3 buckets. You could profile it. You could, so your experiences outside of workflows. So as we see, the analytics market phasing out or evolving, is more and more different experiences will keep on coming into the self-serve analytics space. So we see AutoML, we see data profiling, but we'll see auto recommendations, right? Auto streaming analytics, right? So these are going to come up more and more, but for that you need a good platform in place that scales out, that is very secure, and that has all of the capabilities. So if any of you are interested, would like to work on more and more automations, feel free to reach out. We'd definitely love to engage on that. This is showing Sparkflows provide analytical apps, where analytical apps, they allow you to build a UI in front of your notebooks or workflows, so that you're not necessarily looking at, hey, I'm executing a workflow or a notebook. This allows you to build with drag and drop a UI like this, where the users can come, they can make the selections, and the workflows and notebooks will get executed and the results will get displayed. So you are able to run analytics at scale, and you're able to build these experiences. For example, we call different stages, like leadership details, company details, more company details, and you could run. And the other thing is, when they have executed, you can come back and view the results at any time. Or you could schedule them to run every day or every week, and you are able to look inside those data. So with that, I would love to go into the demo, walk you through a demo of Sparkflows. And one thing I would just mention in the beginning, between two sections, you will feel that there should be having a gap, and it is not there. So so maybe that will make it even more exciting. So, but just to make you aware of that.
Cool.
So Marcelo, you want to add anything before we jump into the demo?
No, love to see the demo and see how Sparkflow is making this happen. Let's do it.
Sounds perfect. Okay, so this is something that we have. This is around 8 minutes long. The demo is 8 minutes long. It walks you through the different AWS services that are in there, from EMR to S3 to Glue to Redshift. And then it walks you through how, the capabilities that we talked about, how they come to life on this platform, and the core architecture that you have in place. So this is, again, it's 8 minutes long. The integration of Sparkflows with AWS. Sparkflows is installed on an EC2 machine, and users log in with their browser. The jobs are submitted onto the cluster, which could be an EMR cluster, EKS, Glue, or even an EC2 machine. This is the dashboard of Sparkflows. Sparkflows is installed on an EC2 machine. Here I'm logged into AWS console. Let us go over the various services I have running. So here I have EMR cluster. It has Hive, Hue, Spark, Zookeeper, and Livy running on it. Here is S3, and have a few data files loaded here. And this is Redshift cluster. It has some tables with data in it. This is SageMaker, and I have run one training job here via Sparkflows. Finally, this is Glue, and here are the Glue jobs which have been executed by Sparkflows. There are 28 projects here. Multiple users can work together on a project. Let us first see the data. Here I have the S3 browser. I can see the files and the folders. I can create folders. I can upload files. I can also go inside a directory and also preview the contents of any given files. Now let's move on to the Hive browser. Here I can see the Hive databases and the tables. I can also see the schema of the tables and query the tables. One of the projects, data science application. Here there are 23 data sets defined, and there are also 80 workflows. Data preparation workflow. This workflow is reading data from 3 data sets. They are on Hive tables, as CSV files on S3, and Redshift table. It is doing certain transforms, joins, aggregations. Here it is removing the outliers and finally saving the results onto S3 files and Hive tables. We can go ahead and execute this workflow onto the EMR cluster. So the job is now submitted to the EMR cluster. Let us see the results of a past execution. So here I have the results of a past execution where the results have been finally stored onto the Hive table. Filing workflow. This workflow is reading telco churn data. There's one record for each customer. So for example, this is the phone number of the customer. This is the total day minutes, total day calls, total day charge, and etc. This node summary statistics is calculating the summary statistics of the selected columns. So these are the columns that have been selected. Here we are calculating the various statistics for the churned and the non-churned users and plotting them on a graph. The correlation node calculates the correlations between the selected columns. Now let us go ahead and view the output of execution of this workflow. So here's the summary statistics. This is the graph of counts of the users who churned and who did not churn. These are the different statistics that we calculated about the churned and non-churned users. And finally, this is the correlation matrix across the columns that we selected. And using a variety of engines, ML, H2O, Scikit, and SageMaker. Here's a Spark flow. Using the random forest classifier model, it's using the split node to split it for train or test. On executing the workflow, here I see the confusion and the accuracy of the model. The same churn prediction model here has been using XGBoost Sage. And in this workflow, it has been using a. Finally, this workflow shows Scikit being used to create the churn model. It's create registered and can be viewed under the models menu. So here I can see the model, the potence, test metrics. Sorry about that. It seems to be losing voice. So let me just, I have another video where maybe that which doesn't have the issue. We didn't notice it before. And start from there using the other one. H2O, Scikit-learn, and SageMaker. Here's a Spark ML workflow. It is using the random forest classifier model to create the model. It's using the split node to split it for training and for tests. On executing the workflow, here I see the confusion matrix and the accuracy of the model. The same churn prediction model here has been created using XGBoost SageMaker. And in this workflow, it has been created using H2O. Finally, this workflow shows scikit-learn being used to create the churn prediction model. The models created also get registered and can be viewed under the models menu. So here I can see the model summary, the feature importance, and the test metrics. Now do AutoML. Here we have the patient dataset experiment. It is a classification problem. The target column we have selected to be outcome. Here we can see the full schema of the dataset. Let us view the results of executing the experiment. So these are all the experiments that I have run. Here is the details of one execution run with 2 models, and here I can see the leaderboard of the experiment. Analytical apps. Analytical apps help us to put a front end to the workflows and notebooks. Here I have a customer addressable market app. If I execute it, I see it has 4 stages. I can make different selections in each of the stage, and I can finally execute it. Let's look at the results of execution of this app previously. So the interesting thing is how do I edit an analytical app? So here we see it as 4 stages. This page is fairly complex, and each of these is built with drag and drop. For example, if I want to add a checkbox here, I can bring it in. We went through how Spark Flows is deeply integrated with AWS for self-serve advanced analytics. It is built to run at scale, gives you a rich set of features, and security is built in end-to-end. All of this helps you democratize advanced data analytics across your organization. So thank you, everyone. So that was the demo. Sorry about a little bit of mess up in the middle. And so we will be sharing this recording also, so in which we'll fix that demo sections over there. So in the end, we will also go through 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A. So feel free to ask questions and feel free to reach out for any details. So over to you, Serge, I think.
Let's get to the slides.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about the trends. I mean, now one thing was the technology. Needless to mention, it was an all-encompassing technology where you're getting everything from data extraction, data sourcing, connectors, ML models, the platform, the data lake, data warehouse kind of a platform, giving you business insights. So, if you're getting everything at one place, I don't even have to preach. I don't even have to tell you guys how beneficial it is going to be for the user. So let's talk about where do we foresee are the trends in self-serve analytics. So Jayant, if we can move to the next one, please. Another index or metrics that is not going to surprise most of us, post-pandemic, 43% of leading global organizations are making data and insights available to their frontline. When we talk about frontline, we are talking about front-facing or customer-facing employees. Earlier, it was the data scientists, the data engineers, the BI analysts who would churn the data or who would build insights and then push them to to the frontline customer-facing executives. Now, with self-serve analytics, it's much easier because as Jayant was talking about being a drag and drop, you really don't have to be a programmer or a developer. You can be technology savvy, which is, as a matter of fact, a necessity to survive in today's world. Once you have that basic skill, when you're connecting with your client or when you're connecting with your even internal reps, whether you're in marketing or in sales, you have these self-serve analytics platforms who are going to help you in giving you quicker insights. Chat bots, sensory bots, video bots, text bots, which is again chat bots, but audio bots. This is where you're going to pull out inputs based on keywords through text, audio, video queries. It's already there. Self-serve analytics is just going to take it to the next level. Finally, speedier decision making, because I mean, technology has brought all of us together closer. So you connecting with a client, or you connecting with a customer, or you connecting with your own team, employees, is at a click of a button. So why can't insights be in the same way? I mean, the first part was people connecting with each other at the click of the button. The next part is insights at the click of the button. And this is where self-serve platforms come in handy again. Especially the part I like is the self-serve ML models, because there is a lot of forecasting, trend analysis, which is done. Also, many times I personally get, short-sighted, which ML model should I use? So there is a library of ML models which Jan shared with us during the demo, which can be used to showcase which is the right forecasting or predictive analytics tool for that situation. Next one, please.
Sure. And one thing I would like to add along those lines is, as we look into our vision and the future, is that also in SparkFlows, it comes with close to 200 plus workflows or solutions that you can start using out of the box. So it's not just the nodes that you could do. For example, if you want to do recommendations, here is ALS or FPG node that you could use. But here's a solution for that does, on certain domain upsell, cross-sell kind of recommendations. So, and we continue to add more and more libraries. And I think even if ignoring SparkFlows, I would see the analytics market, how it will evolve and go into is more and more of these solutions. And at SparkFlows, what we do is even allow the community to build and put things into it so someone else can use it if they do like to share. So we do see that it's evolving, because the amount of use cases and things that the companies are going over is just dramatic. And the data is so varied and dramatic. So I think that brings out the true value of the self-serve as it goes into more high and high level solutions.
I completely agree, Jayant. I mean, data scientists, economists, statisticians, they want to, they have so much data within an organization to work with. There is no one set model which works each time, right? So I've seen everyone wants to try different ML models, and everyone wants to try different technologies. And having this library of, you just said, you didn't say 200 models, but I'm pretty sure you will have at least 20, 30 ML models. When you have that library, you get an opportunity to play with the multiple scenarios and do a pros and cons analysis for different scenarios and say, okay, this may work, this might not work, and this is the reason why it may or may not work. So again, self-serve analytics, analytics is already there. It's been there. It's been the mainstream for last 5 years. Self-serve is just taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and as you have access to the huge clusters, right, which of course at AWS is just so amazing. I would let Marcelo talk on it. Having access to those clusters, where you could be running these jobs day in and day out, not only AutoML, but different kinds of even workflows that are pulling out more insights and ideas for you. And they could be running automatically also at certain places, so you could be scheduling. So I think that takes things to another level.
Yeah, especially in a cost-effective manner. I think one of the things that we have seen, if any of you have been part of reInvent 2021, the amount of investments that AWS is making in reducing cost with serverless architectures in all analytics tools like MSK, Redshift, and all that, to reduce the cost and increase the operational efficiency of using those technologies to actually enable those workflows on an on-demand basis.
And Jayant, I mean, Marcelo is in a sweet spot. With Amazon, he doesn't really need to tell what features they have to offer in Spark Flows.
Yeah.
Because in the true sense, he is a sage maker.
Right.
So coming to the next set of applications, I wanted to give you a magnitude in terms of dollar amount, because we all love numbers. So cybersecurity, fraud protection, and risk, it's currently a few $billion market. It's going to explode up to a 1.75, almost a $2 trillion, almost an economy of a big country, a developing country. That's a huge number. We are foreseeing it's going to be there by in a decade's time. And cybersecurity is no longer going to be the IT or the CISO foray. It's going to be everyone within the organization which will have to own the cybersecurity piece. So self-serve comes into picture where it becomes, again, I'm saying the same thing. It's going to democratize the data to all the users within the organization. The second one, which is a big opportunity, virtual realm and metaverse. Every big organization where you talk about telecoms as Verizon or CPG as Pepsi or Coke or social media company like Facebook, everyone has a metaverse now. And metaverse is all about AI, and the second step is going to be self-serve analytics. We don't even know what the amount is going to be involved over here. It definitely will touch $1 trillion by the end of this decade. So this is the second opportunity of embedded analytics. This is the third one. Healthcare companies, they want to understand your patient's health, monitor and track it. And what are you going to use for that? There are a lot of dashboards, there are a lot of outputs which come in through form of reports, but to get to live ones, embedded analytics is something which is, expected to take over in the next couple of years. Another good example of embedded analytics was the NFL use case that Marcelo talked about at the start. So these are the areas. And finally, you're seeing Fortune 500 companies investing in a CDO or a CEO, which is a chief data officer or digital officer, and a chief analytics officer. These are up and coming functions. These are usually business functions supported by technology. So they're always looking for using the technology or democratizing the technology, evangelizing the technology to the grassroots levels, and self-serve comes into picture over here. One point which was mentioned by Jayant earlier, I'm going to re-emphasize, they're also looking at scaling this data, because we are no longer talking about giga, mega, and terabytes of data. We are just talking about petabytes of data. And that's what self-serve platforms or self-serve analytics is focused on, scaling it, scaling the data and bringing in insights. So those are the 2 cents from my side. Jayant and Marcelo, feel free to add anything I might have missed or anything that you can see happening.
Yeah, no, I think you spot on with insights that you're providing, especially with we see a lot of embedded analytics, especially because you're collecting data from a variety of sources, and you end up having insights being generated in a variety of different places, depending what you're running, because the consolidation of the ML space within an organization is still a little bit fragmented. So the value of taking these insights and putting in your application in a single point is actually the fastest growing piece of QuickSight, which is our own BI tool, is actually embedded analytics. How we embed the QuickSight insights into applications of different customers, like in healthcare, retail, and those kind of things.
Yeah, we really look to be able to feed data into QuickSights and all the magic that it creates. And I'm very excited about the last reinvent that you mentioned, Marcelo, all of the serverless systems, serverless Spark to serverless EMR to all of those that are there. We are, of course, deeply integrated and continue to integrate more and more to bring value to our customers.
On the security and compliance, what's your current I know you have done some work with the lake formation team recently to integrate Spark Flow with lake formation. How's that going?
It's going very well, Marcelo, and thanks for yours and support from AWS. So security we take very, of course, everyone takes very seriously. So the way we have done is end-to-end seamless integration with impersonation. So everything will be run as a logged in user, and of course there are IAM roles. So that's the philosophy that we have taken, so that everything, whether access to S3 or Hive or lake formation, everything is happening as a logged in user. So that really solves security at the source.
Excellent.
So that's the way we are tackling it, and it's really coming along well.
Cool.
Okay, so I will, before we jump into the Q&A, for the last 10 minutes, would love to talk about, we have 90-day trials. Not in the 90-day trial, we love to work with you for any installation setup. There are actually 200 plus included examples and use cases that if you want to try out. And we would love to, if you're this one use case of your interest, to build out your use case of your interest. So feel free to reach out at support@sparkflows.io today or anytime. And it would be just amazing to just know you and work with you. And if there are certain use cases that in your mind, right, just let us know, and we will put in our roadmap. We promise to put it in our roadmap very quickly, or if there are new nodes or features of your interest, or if you are looking to build some. So love to engage with you, and feel free to reach out at any time. So yeah, with you, Sush, and Q&A.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, this is the time where our speakers get to speak. Sorry, our audience gets to speak. Our speakers have been speaking for quite some time now. So anyone wants to know more about the technology, more about the business use cases, this is the time.
This is Sriram. I had a quick question. So can we add our own ML or NLP algorithms? Yes,
Sure. Thanks so much, Sriram, for the question. So yes, and that is one of the very core root of where we started our SparkFlows, because we know, before this, I was at Cloudera and Honeybee, which Sush mentioned, and always ran into that this world of analytics is ever growing, right? And you want a very rich library of sets. At the same time, you want to be able to have yourself or your team to be able to add new features. And those, Sriram, you mentioned you want ML or NLP. So yes, so it's built, you could code in Scala, Java, or Python and be able to put it in, and they will act and behave exactly like any other node in SparkFlows, like whether, the node, the widget that comes up, how they're pre-filled, the rich functionality, interactive execution, schema propagation. So the nodes that you would build out, they would be a native part of SparkFlows.
So you just have to click and drop type of thing, yes, within the workflow.
Yes,
and it will just become menu. Oh, that's
it nice. Will become like you could have, hey, this is my set of ML and NLP, and they will be part of the system. You could drag and drop and use it exactly like any other node. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, the other quick question I have is, do you have any integration or APIs for any of the DevOps tool that we have, like we can integrate with?
Sure. Feel free to say anything that's of your, it has very close integration with Git, because one of the things that people want is, okay, version control. While it is doing version control of its own, it integrates with Git for version control. It's very easy to move things from, say, dev to QA to production, meaning in the order of less than a minute. So you could say, hey, export here, or it could be in the Git, import there, and you would have it in any other environment that you want. So, and you could be running CI/CD pipelines And of course, all the executions that happen through here, you could come back and see those results at any time. So yes, CI/CD pipeline, there's a lot of support. And if there's anything of your interest in your mind, would love to make sure it's already there, or otherwise put it in there.
Sure. Thanks, Jan. We'll reach out to you.
Sure, thanks.
Really quick, this is Prakash. Great presentation, guys. So my question is access to sample data. So I have models, I need to train the models, and I need access to large amounts of data. So do you provide it, or do I need to bring that myself? This could be synthetic data. This could be, data. Obviously, I'm not looking for any data with PII information, but what help can you provide there?
Sure, Prakash. So SparkFlows comes with close to 200 and processes, and when it gets installed, it comes with the sample data which those samples use. Now, but of course, there are samples, and so they're only that much. And actually, that is a great idea. AWS on its infrastructure has as a marketplace and things and we should study more. That gives a good idea. So you could always bring your own data, right? You could go and put on S3 a bunch of your data, and you could start processing it. Things are running in your VPCs and things. So you could point to any existing sample data on S3, which is public. You could put in your own sample data. You could generate it synthetically. And actually, maybe you should just add it. There's a node that generates, random data, but actually that we should add 2-3 nodes that say, hey, I want to generate data of this size and of this distribution. So that would be great. So yes, you can bring in your own synthetic data, and we have certain synthetic data generators, but we'll extend that. And then you could start and the workflows that are there, you could connect to them, change some schema name with a node, and then the rest will follow by itself. Or you could start building your own workflows.
Yeah, MSK, for example, has a data generator, managed streaming for Kafka, where you can create synthetic data or sample data to test your data streams. Yeah.
Oh, right. I look forward to it. I mean, there's so features in AWS that can make it all more possible and fun.
Great question.
And there is another one from Yash. Does SparkFlows auto-scale with increasing data size and volume?
Sure. It does, in the sense that because it relies on the clusters, and we know that we cannot and we should not be doing everything. Like, for example, security rely on the lake formation, rely on rangers, right? So similarly on the auto scaling, we rely on the clusters. So like if you're email clusters or serverless, they are auto scaling for you, right? So we rely on that, and we try to do the best integration there, so that you also do want to have control over how much of it are auto scales to control costs, right? Yes. And that's where it falls back onto the great features provided by the infrastructure to do that.
So you have deep integration with the metrics and logs, yes, of CloudWatch and that kind of stuff to be able to actually spark the scale up or scale down of clusters.
Yes.
Excellent.
So there was one more question: to what kind of scale analytics can scale to? I mean, we have things running and users running at petabytes of scale. So we have built it so that very little runs on the machine on which SparkFlows is installed. It's all happening on the cluster. So that's where, and those clusters are running at petabyte scale. So that's where we have customers who are able to use at petabyte scale. So with auto scaling, and the clusters have they control the resources, and they control also how the jobs are scheduled. So if there are more jobs, they will get completed based on the availability of the resources, so they will not fail. So you really have the ability to scale, unlimited scale in that way.
Yeah, that's the value a serverless
Yes,
is going to start
yes.
providing, right?
Uh,
Without having to specify the type of instances
mhm.
that a cluster needs to
Yeah.
do based on the workload and job types.
It can
You will be
auto-
able to auto scale and up and down based on your needs, and you can put boundaries around, and you
Right.
can put minimum number of nodes, maximum number of nodes to actually control your costs and not allow things to, it's software after all. It could
Right.
have bugs.
Yeah, but it keep
And
on
you
getting
could
more and more
and keep
intelligent. Yeah.
exactly. It continues to
Yeah.
grow and get better.
Right. And that is something which otherwise takes up so much of human resources that, hey, this is failing, or it's not scaling, and it's not, you keep on adding your own intelligence. That's where again, ML comes into play, right?
Right.
ML for auto scaling,
Exactly.
right?
Hey, Jayant and Marcelo, I got one question directly over here.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And there's one more, so I'll take this one. It's from Heli. Can you talk what kind of investment is required in technology, and how does it break even? So yeah, if you can talk about a little bit about the investments, and then I can talk about the break-even piece.
Sure. I can take one stab at it and pass it on to you. So that is another core thing that, you have already your infrastructures in place, you have your data in place, and you don't want to go around setting up lots of different things for your analytics. So that's why SparkFlows is installed on an EC2 machine, which could be a 16 gig EC2 machine, or if you have existing machines like EMR master nodes, you could just install it there, right? So that there's no much extra cost to running it. So it's using your existing clusters. You could have queues, and you could set aside queues for analytics and control it. But you can get started just in an hour, right? Or in order of 5-10 minutes on your existing infrastructure and things, and you don't have to think, and which you have it in place, and everyone, as you said, right, there's so much of data products being created, and so you already have those systems in place. So you want the self-serve analytics to use your existing systems.
Right.
So if I can add on top of it, not specifically about self-serve analytics, but overall about this whole self-serve movement, I would call it, is research is showing us, our internal research at ISG, that in the last 3 years, organizations have started getting faster ROI on their AI, BI, ML self-serve investments. So as an example, in 2018, 3 years back, or 2019, 3 years back, the analytics programs would take 3 years to pay back or pay for themselves. Fast forward, last year, the number came down to 1.2 or 1.3 years. So anything where you're getting a return on investment within a year's time, any business professional will say, wow, I'll take that. And then the second opportunity, which is coming up, is using analytics as monetization tools. Earlier, the focus was using analytics for process improvement, cost optimization, making your organization seamless, the digital strategies. Now it is also focusing a lot more on monetizing, using analytics, which is again using self-serve analytics for monetizing. So that will even reduce the break-even time to under a year. So that's some insight on that front. Jayant, we are at the top of the hour. If there is any question, we can take one more. What say you guys, Marcelo and Jayant?
Something just popped up.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So Siddesh had a question. I have data in Hive and multiple EMR clusters running, which is amazing. How can I get started with using SparkFlows? So you can install SparkFlows onto an EC2 machine, and you could connect to multiple EMR clusters. We have lately actually come out with the ability to create connections to different EMR clusters, so that you can, and that's why the concept of projects and connections. So you have multiple EMR clusters, multiple connections, so you would be able to run any job on any of those, and your Hive may or may not be shared between them. So that today should be pretty seamless, and especially with the latest this month itself feature that we have released onto multiple EMR connections and made it better. So that's
So a project could have, so assuming you have 10 clusters out there, a project, different projects could be using different X number of clusters, as well as different Hive data stores in different projects. Not everything has to use the same type of backend resources.
That's true. That's true. So what we have done is you could create connections at global level that all the projects can use. You can do it at each project level, that this project only talks to this EMR cluster. And also at group level, that, hey, I'm belonging to this group. And my
Those
group,
are the resources for the group, and that's what you have access to.
Yeah. So that's how we did it at 3 levels, so that you could have this control.
Great. Thank you. In the essence of time, I know there are a few more questions over here, but in the essence of time, let's keep it, send the questions to, you have Jayant's email ID. Please feel free to contact us. And again, thank you, all of you, whatever geography you are in. Thank you for attending this call and making it a success for us. Thank you, Marcelo, and thank you, Jayant.
Thank you, Dish.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for everyone attending. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.